Hey guys, back again. Today I want to do something a little different. I want to do a very, at least as much as I can, in-depth review of these two amps. JCM900 SLX, Splawn Nitro. Very different tones. I've put a video out of each one individually, and most people think the Splawn wins. So what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, is I've got my wireless set up. It is outputting to both heads at the same time. So I'm going to switch back and forth between them. I'll put a little text here at the bottom to let you know what's going on, and then I will also run them both together. I want to run a myriad sort of through. Start with clean, go to sort of classic distortion, then heavier distortion, all in standard tuning. Then I'm going to bring in a couple other guitars. I'm going to do drop D and drop B. With these amps. I've got a boost I'll throw in there. This may be a little bit of a longer video, but I'm going to try to go like as far into this as I can, and I'll save my talk until the end, so if you want to hear thoughts, opinions, or whatever the case is, just stick around after the playing. So we'll start with the 900 first on clean. Oh, and to mention too, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to change the EQ of the 900 throughout the video to try to match up with the Splawn. Splawn's not going to get touched, it's going to stay the same all the way through. To the Splawn. Both together. And it's not going to sound right because the Splawn has a dedicated clean channel, so I have to turn the volumes up to play through it. The Marshall has got to be turned down to get clean, so this is going to be kind of harsh, but I just want to kind of let you know what we're doing. Okay, so now we're going to do the mid-range distortion sounds. The 900 is EQ'd sort of as a vintage gain. The Splawn is doing what it does. So I'm going to go ahead and do those out. I'm going to start with the volume on 5 on the guitar to bring it down just a little bit. And now I'm going to I'm going to switch to the Splawn. to hum and hiss this thing. But the SLX has it too, and you're about to see that. What I'm going to do now is change this EQ to a more heavy, modern type tone, away from the vintage sound that we had. The Splawn now to compare the heavier Marshall sound with this one. The volume up just a touch on the Splawn amplifier. Alright, so now with the guitar volume on 5 still, I'm going to run them both. So that's both of them together, and talk about a full range sound. That's it. Okay, so we're going to move the guitar volume to 10. By the way, I've been on the bridge pickup the whole time. The tone is all the way open. So start with the Marshall in the modern gain setting. Over to the Nitro. so now in that same setting, we'll run both together. So and again, I think that's pretty awesome. They sound real good together. Okay, last thing on the distortion, well, the mid-level distortion, I'm going to engage Clean Boost, which is a Boss SD1W Wazacraft pedal, level full, tone minimum, drive minimum, and I've got the switch on custom mode. Alright, that's on. Marshall first. Sorry, I couldn't help myself on the Van Halen there. Alright, Splawn. And finally, I'm going to bring both of them together with the boost. Alright, turning the boost off, I am now going to change up what we're doing a little bit. Alright, back again. This time I've got the SG here. I'm going to play in drop D tuning, Seymour Duncan distortion humbucker set. And so we'll see what that does. I'm going to start on Marshall with no boost. Alright, moving over. Splawn. Alright, so now I'll just bring them both in. Okay, and now the clean boost. Alright, we'll go over to the Splawn now. I'm going to make a note, I just turned the Splawn up a little more. It's not that the Marshall is louder, it's just that the Marshall has so much more mid-range and so much more punch that it just seems a lot louder, so I'm trying to, hopefully I didn't overdo it there, but I'm trying to bring the volume on the Splawn up to where the output signal sort of matches with the Marshall. So I'm going to run them both now, the boost is still on. So there's that part of it. I'll be back in a second with more. Alright, back again. This time I'm going to go and do something I don't normally do, and I'm not usually this type of player, so please excuse if this sounds terrible, but I'm going to go to drop B. A lot of guys use these Splawns for modern metal stuff, and so I'm going to take it down to B. I'm going to start with Marshall, where it's been set, no boost, and we'll see what happens there. Of opening a can of bees, I'm gonna max the gain on the Marshall. So that's that one with as much as it's got. Perhaps with the master volume higher it would get heavier, but that's pretty much it. Alright, so over to the Splawn. So at this point I hear you guys saying, wait a minute, that Splawn doesn't sound very heavy, what's going on? Well, I've been on overdrive 1 the whole time. That's a little trick that the Marshall can't do. So now I'm going to take the Splawn overdrive 2. And this is, the gain is just past halfway. So it's got a lot more than this, but this is about all you really need. Saving that for the end. So the Marshall, and I'm sorry I'm making myself laugh, how bad is that? So the Marshall, really good MIDI, as you can hear, a lot of high end and everything, and with the Splawn man a lot low, and they actually are working. I'm surprised. It's the first time I've done this literally on this video, so them playing together like that, it's pretty cool. But as you've just seen, this thing's got so much more in reserve. I've been running it in kind of the middle mode this whole time, and it's been keeping up with this one all the way. Now it's in its big, top gear using Splawn speak, and it's just killing this thing. So here's what I'm going to do, just for the heck of it. I'm going to run them together like this, and this should bring some very interesting results. Okay, I gotta be honest. Holy crap. I hope this comes through in this video. That was awesome. The Splawn is bringing so much bottom into it, and the Marshall's bringing so much top in. That was like the craziest heavy sound I've ever heard come out of anything I've played. Maybe you Mesa guys can do better, I don't know, but that in person is awesome. for this kind of, for this kind of sound. It's not something I normally use for most of the stuff I play, but for this drop B, that was great. So anyway, now I'm going to bring in that clean boost on top of these sounds. This might get a little nasty, but we're going to do it anyway. I'll do them the same way, Marshall then Splawn then together with the boost. Feedback. Alright, over to Splawn with the boost. Sort of surprised at how bottom heavy that sound is, but I guess after playing this one, that one's going to sound that way. Okay, so both of them together with the boost. This should be good. And again, wow, working together, these amps are really, really good. So I'm glad my wireless has that dual output option. I didn't realize it had it until this morning. I was just looking at it and said, hey, wait a minute, I wonder if that would work. And well, it did, so this is great. This really might just be the way I play them from now on. It's so much better this way. Because everything the Marshall lacks, the Splawn has, and everything it doesn't have, the Marshall has. So together it makes like this just wall of sound, which is awesome. Okay, one more thing for you guys, and then we'll be done. Alright, here's the last thing. You guys can consider this a treat or a punishment. It's up to you. 7-string. I'm not a 7-string player. This is a $200 guitar, and I got it just because I wanted to try it. So, a couple little things that I can goof around and make noise with. I'm going to play those through them on this thing. Alright, so we'll boost off. Settings are just as they were with the drop B video. So that's the Marshall. Let's do the Splawn. This is still overdrive 2. Back, cheap guitar for you. Alright, yeah, okay, so let's do the boost on them. I don't really think it's going to make much difference, but let's do it anyway. Splawn boosted. Okay. Now both together. Both of them together with the boost. Okay, boost off. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to talk a minute, so if you don't want to listen, stop watching. Alright, so that was very interesting in my opinion. As I said, have not until this very time played these two amps at the same time. I didn't know that my wireless would do it. So I have them split into the cab. The Swan's on this side, the Marshall's on this side, running 2 speakers each. So obviously the sound will be full when all 4 are going. But with that aside, I really think, and I really think that the sound spectrum that these 2 amps occupy makes them almost the perfect complement to each other. Now I know that in a live situation it's a lot of trouble hauling gear, and I don't know if I would take both amps to a show. It's enough trouble with the cab and the one big heavy one and everything else, so you know, I don't know. I think in an ideal world, roadies would be awesome to carry both of these around, and I think that if I were putting together an ideal live rig, and of course I've spent as much time with it as this video took to make, so I don't really know for sure, but just from the impressions I'm getting, I think these 2 together, I mean, if you could imagine an A-B box where you could switch from one to the other, or put them both together, I mean, you could have so much variety. You could get those real thick, heavy bottom heavy Mesa type tones. You can get the real bright, screechy Marshall stuff, and then you can put them together and you have a full spectrum of sound. As a strong proponent to the JCM900, though, I'll tell you that amp probably does all that by itself. But that aside, you know, this is a good combo, and I like it. And I think the opinion of which one is better than the other really depends on your preference, because the sounds are so different. And the EQ sections, I'll cover that really quickly. On the Marshall, 4.5 on your presence, 4 on your bass, 5.5 on your middle and treble. On the Splawn, presence and resonance are, and there's no numbers, so I'll use clock descriptions. 12 o'clock, bass at 11, middle and treble at 1. So even with the treble and the mids being higher on the Splawn and the bass being the same, you hear how much thicker it is. Maybe if I took the resonance down and the bass down, I could get kind of brighter like this one, but I don't think I'd ever get as bright as this amp is. As I said in my 900 video, this amp reminds me a lot of a JCM900 2203, which a friend of mine owns. One of the original 80s models. I think his is an 87, 88, but it's a horizontal input. Anyway, always thought that amp was just idiotically bright. Every time I'd go play over there, the bass knob goes all the way down, or all the way up, trebles all the way down, trying to get something out of it. And this amp is pretty much the same, but I've come to appreciate Marshall tone since the last time I went and played that 800. Because back then I was, I strayed, and I'm sorry, but anyway, I was into modeling. I liked Line 6's products. Yeah. And my live rig consisted of a pod XT Live through a little solid state power amp. That was it. I didn't even carry a head. I just had that set up, and it worked, but it's nothing like this. So anyway, what I'm getting at, I liked that thick, real heavy distortion, real tight thing that modeling on a dual rectifier simulation gives you. But liking that sound at the time, a real Marshall without all of the crazy saturation, without the big thick bottom end, not being super tight, I didn't like it. And for a long time I resisted tube amps. I hated them. But thankfully the guys over at the MarshallForum.com, thank you, convinced me that I was an idiot, and I have since really changed my opinion, as you'll notice. When I record on my computer, I do still use modeling, but I use Amplitude to do that with, and but that's a different world, you know. That's something different entirely than actual sound that you play loud. I don't gig anymore. I quit my band. Yeah. So anyway, these guys are something that I have just for the house, and rarely get to have them loud, but today is one of those days, so it's real nice. But you know, otherwise, I think they'd be great for a show. I don't know which one I'd rather have, but I think both together is good, and both of them alone are good. Just have to pick your preference. So anyway, that's enough talking from me. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, just comment, and I will be glad to respond.